जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन प्रजन जन यशोदानंदन प्रजन रंजन जमुना तीरा जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम हरे राम 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 हरे हरे जयो प्रभुपदा जयो प्रभुपदा जयो प्रभुपदा श्री प्रभुपदा जयो गुरुदेवा जयो गुरुदेवा जय की जय। हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण। Just as we test. हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण। मंगल प्लीज। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितां तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमां विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवति उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नटराज भागवतम की जय, शिवपाद की जय। Nice. Thanks, sir. Thanks so much, Prabhu. We have Kupa Prabhu here with us in person. Okay. So we're going to discuss or try to discuss at least the chapter number 3 of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Source of All Incarnations. Now, before we start, I'd like to get the blessings in the presence of all the assembled Vaishnavas in person and online. so that the right words come the right way, in the right mode of service to please Shara Kunji Bihari and Gornitai and all of you. Panchakalpadrupishchika Sindhu Bheva Chapedara Pavane Bheva Shubhu Okay, so in the first chapter, the rishis, the sages, Navisharni asked 6 questions. You remember? Yeah. For 6 questions are? Not remember, but yeah. The first question was, what is the ultimate good? Okay. Second question is, second which you asked was, what is the essence of all scriptures? The third was, why did Krishna appear from the womb of Devaki? Then question was asked, can you describe some activities of Krishna and Rama? Saha Ramena Keshava, Krishna Balram. Then other question was, can you describe other incarnations of Krishna and their activities? And the sixth question was, now that Krishna has left, where did Dharma and Jnana take shelter? 6 questions. Now, the question of what are the different avatars, different incarnations Bhagavan took, for that question, third chapter will be answered. The answer for third chapter, that question we answer in this particular chapter. In fact, what is the essence of all scriptures also mentioned almost to the end of the chapter. And also at the end, we mentioned after Krishna left the planet, where did Dharma and Jnana take shelter? That will be mentioned, I think, second last verse, third last verse of chapter. So again, the question of what are different incarnations is described in this chapter. Then where did Dharma and Jnana go, described in this chapter. And essence of all scriptures also mentioned in this chapter. People? Now, at the end of the previous chapter, the Lord, it mentioned that the Lord was absorbed in various Leela avatars. The last second chapter end mein, it was mentioned that the many Leela avatars of the Lord, many avatars of the Lord. So taking that point, Sri Sudhir Goswami starts describing various incarnations, taking that as the cue point. So what is the definition of avatar? Nishprapanchat panchopi avatariti iti avatar. Nishprapanchat matlab prapancha means the material world. Nishprapancha means beyond the material world. Nishprapanchat matlab prapanch, nishprapanch se. From nishprapancha came prapancha. Nishprapanchat prapancho pi avatariti. That person, that entity who descends from a world outside this material world into this world is called avatar. That's it. That's the definition of avatar. Nishprapanchat prapancho api avatariti iti avatar. Now, the first verse. So, the first section will talk about the Purusha avatars, then the different kind of avatars. So, in Laghu Bhagavatamrita, Sri Rupa Goswami writes, there are 6 kinds of avatars. First is Purusha avatar, the second is Guna avatar,
Hi.
then the third, Leela avatar, the fourth is Yuga avatar, the fifth is Manvantara avatar, and the sixth one is Avesh avatar. The Purusha avatar, then there is Guna avatar, Leela avatar, then there is uh, what do you say? Yuga avatar, Manvantara avatar, and Avesh avatar. Sri Rupa Goswami mentions in his Laghu Bhagavatamrita. So, of the 6 kind of avatars, the first section we talk about Purusha avatars. That is mentioned by Shuta Goswami in the first 6 verses. The first verse talks about the first Purusha avatar, which is called as Karana Udakashai Vishnu. So, Karana Udakashai means Karana Udaka means water. बोलते हैं ना, in Bhagavad Gita, in the first chapter, Krishna mentions, Arjuna mentions, Pindotaka Kriya. What will happen if I fight?
Hi.
Arjuna gives 4 reasons not to fight. The first chapter. One is, if all the elders are killed, then tradition will be lost. And at the end it says, Pindodaka Kriya. Pindadan. Pinda Udaka Kriya. Udaka means water. The rice and water is given in Pindodaka. Pindadan. So Pinda Udaka. Karana Udaka Shai. Shai means one who takes rest on the Udaka water of Karana. It's called Karana Udaka Shai Vishnu. The Mahavishnu. Now, Karana Udaka Shai Vishnu is an Amsha. We'll talk about that. Is an Amsha
Yeah,
of
yeah.
Shiv Narayan and that Vishnu Hare Krishna. That Vishnu lies on the Karna ocean, causal ocean, we say. And from the breathing of that Mahavishnu comes when Karnadaksha Vishnu breathes out from the pores of his body, all universes come out. When he breathes in, everything goes in. It's called the universal dissolution. The very nice, it's nice, very personal. But please sit. Stop. Please, no, please sit the top. So, Madhi, please, Madhi. Request. It's very nice. It's personal here. Very nice. Come. So, from Karnadaksha Vishnu comes all the universes, uh, just like bubbles in an ocean. So many bubbles of the ocean, right? So just by he is a Nidhanam, Bijam. Nidhanam means he is a shelter of all the beings, all the living entities. So at the end of Mahapralaya, at the end of the life of Brahma, when everything comes back, all the jivas rest inside Mahavishnu. And again, based when he breathes out, again they come out. And this goes on eternally. There's no time at which started. It's called Sanatan, right? This in term is called Anadi. Adi means beginning. Anadi means no beginning. So there's no beginning at which a living entity was in this material world. It's been there since somewhere. There's no time. There's no time. Immemorable, we can't remember. Right? So it's been there for a long and it will continue to be there like that. So Mahavishnu keeps breathing in and out, just in Yoga Nidra position. That is Kara Udaksha Vishnu. And we live in one breath of Mahavishnu. That's our existence. Not in one breath. One breath is entire. Brahma lives one breath. Believes Brahma's life is 311 trillion years. Time scale. So that is the first Purusha avatar. The second, so when that universe is created, and these three Purusha avatars are very beautifully described in detail in Lagu Bhagavatam, the first chapter. In the first chapter, Sri Bhagavatam takes on these Purusha avatars and describes who Karnadaksha Vishnu are from all different references. It describes what are the details, the tattva, everything talks. He talks about all the Purusha avatars and other avatars also, Guna avatars, Avesh avatars, Leela avatars. He talks in detail. Lagu Bhagavatam, it's a very beautiful book. So the second Vishnu. So when the Purusha avatara, when Mahavishnu breathes out, the universe is coming. And Mahavishnu enters into that universe and lies on the Garbha Udaka Shai Vishnu, on Garbha Udaka. Udaka means water, Garbha. So these are perspirations of his own body. He lies on that Anantashesh. Beautiful. And from his navel rises a beautiful lotus stem. And at the top of the lotus, we have Satyaloka, Brahma, and the engineer of the universe. So we have 10 topics of Bhagavatam. Atra sarga visargascha sthanam poshanam mutaya manmantaru ishanugata nirodho mukti rashraya. From second canto, at the end of the second canto. Sarga and visarga. Sarga means initial creation, all the material elements. And Brahma takes the material elements and creates the entire universe. Brahma is called the secondary creator. Sarga is the primary creation, Visarga is secondary creation, and Brahma is the Manuda secondary creation. Okay? So, Sarga is done by Mahavishnu, and Visarga, the secondary creation is by Shri Brahma. So, that is Garbhodaka Shai Vishnu. And from his, so all the avatars come through Garbhodaka Shai Vishnu to Shivodaksha Vishnu and comes out in the material world. That's how it is. So, that is uh, now third one, Kshira Udaka Shai Vishnu. Udaka also means water, Udaka also means liquid. Kshira means milk. Kshira Udaka means liquid milk or milk, basically. So, Shweta Dweep, Shir Sagar. So, Shirodakasha Vishnu is that Lord who resides on the milk ocean. And that is that Lord is one who sits in the Paramatma in the heart. So, if you see these three avatars are all Paramatmas. Shirodaksha Vishnu is the Paramatma for each individual living being. Andantarastha Paramanu Chayantarastam. He is present in all atoms. When you say atom, atom doesn't mean our atoms. Atom means the smallest individual part which you can think of. Let's say 10 years from now, someone says small individual particle is, let's say small individual particle is something else. So usme, that is it. Does that make sense? Paramanu doesn't mean our concept of atom. Paramanu means atomic, we say, but the smallest individual. But basically, point is, Bhagwan is there in each and every smallest, tiniest particle which you can think of. Okay? So, Kshiro Daksha Vishnu is the Paramatma, all living entity, present everywhere. So, without Shiro Daksha Vishnu, we cannot survive. So, when we want to move our hand, there is a complex mechanism in the background. It's like when you put in a bank, when you ATM, we put a card in the ATM and trip and money comes out. But there's a whole mechanism which goes in the background, back end design, right? You know, back in Cloudflare, so you just Cloudflare, mein, security passed. But you know what's going behind? We can't see that. It's black box for us, right? So similarly, when you lift a hand, there's a desire in the heart to lift the hand. It goes to Paramatma. When say, Bhaiya, you have enough karma. ठीक है. Prakriti, do your job. Prakriti lift the hand. So this entire mechanism goes immediately, instantaneously. So Kshirodaksha Vishnu is the one who बोलते ना in Bhagavad Gita says उपदेष्टा अनुमंता चा भर्ता भोक्ता महेश्वरा chapter number 14 chapter number 13 mentions the duties of Paramatma, उपदेष्टा, overseer, anumanta, permitter, bharta, bhokta, maheshwara. So that he is Paramatma of all the living beings. Now Garbhodaksha Vishnu is the Paramatma of the entire universe. Without Garbhodaksha Vishnu, universe, the one particular universe can't exist. Right? Mahavishnu is the Paramatma for the entire universe creation. Without Mahavishnu, the entire creation won't exist. Does it make sense? They're all Paramatmas for different scope. We have said in software where scope, variables have scope, global scope, local scope, all this stuff. This is how Paramatma is local scope, Garbhota is a bit more larger scope, Mahavishnu is the big scope. Paramatma of the entire universe, Mahavishnu. Now, after this is actually comes at the very end of the chapter. We'll come back here. All the universe, then Purusha is done. Now the different avatars will start coming in. Okay? So the first avatar mentioned, it is in Bhagavatam, it's mentioned, is the Kumaras. Chatush Kumar. Manasa Putra, Brahma, Manas, they were born in the mind of Brahma. The first sons or children of Brahma. So you have Sanatana, Sanat Kumar, Sanandana, and Sanatana, Sanat Kumar. The four Kumaras, right? And they are brahmacharis. So now Bhagavatam mentions each of the different incarnations which were mentioned, they have their different roles. And they're invested with some kind of Shakti, is the Avesha. So Kumaras are an Avesh avatar. So Avesh came in two. Now they can, I think I mentioned there are six kind of avatars. First one is Purusha avatar, Guna avatar, Leela avatar, Yuga avatar, Manvantara avatar, and Avesh avatar. Six kind of avatars. And Avesh avatar has two parts, subdivisions. Bhakti Avesh avatar and Vibhuti. Vibhutis are basically devatas. Indra is Vibhuti. In Gita is mentioned. Indra is Vibhuti. So all different devatas, Marichi, all the sons of Brahma, they're all kinds of Vibhuti of Bhagwan. They have some small portion of Bhagwan's opulence. Avesh avatars they have much more empowered. For example, Kumaras, they're empowered with the Jnana Shakti of Bhagwan, knowledge. So that is the four Kumaras. The first, so I'm gonna, this chapter is quite long, it's 44 verses. So I just quickly go. So four Kumaras. Then next avatar. So this is the basically again notebook. Thank you Mami, for sharing this. Notebook has created this. It has categorized in its own way. So this is not according to what's mentioned in Bhagavatam, but they categorize the bearers of knowledge. Jnana Shakti is what? Kumaras. Narad Muni is the Avesh of Bhakti Shakti, the science of devotion. And it's mentioned that Narad Muni wrote Pancharatra. Nada Pancharatra, with Narada Bhakti Sutra, right? So all this Pancharatrika Vidhi, what we do deity worship, so I go to Pancharatrika Vidhi. Who wrote the Pancharatrika? Narada Muni. So he gave all these delineations, and he has so much Shakti, and बोलते ना इस English they say, हिंदी में they saying, uh, भजन is आहार, प्रचार is डकार.
Okay.
Dalmi has so much bhajan, prachar just comes out. In each and every canto of Bhagavatam, there's harmony. Overflowing, umad raha hai, this is udgar. Right? So each and every canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is harmony present somewhere or the other. Oh, something.
Such a beautiful slides.
That makes nothing, it's fine.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we have all the various big devotees we could see. They all have Narad Muni as a spiritual master. Dhruva Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Vyasadev, all the Diggaj, right? The big shots. Narad Muni have their, that's a spiritual master. So Narad Muni, yes, Lou.
Can I ask question later?
Later.
Later we can ask you later. Yeah, please, Ben Babu, please ask. So Narad Muni is there. Okay. So we have the Chatush Kumaras, the four Kumaras, Narad Muni, and we have Kapila Muni. Kapila Muni is son of Devahuti and Kardama Muni. Right? Third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, in Bhagavatam mentions Kapila Muni gave knowledge to many other Bhrigu and also Asuri. Asuri is a Brahmana, not Asurni. Asuri Brahmana. His name is Asuri. Now there is, we have heard, right? There is, Popa says, there is atheistic Kapila. In Bhagavatam, Popa says this theistic Kapila, this atheistic Kapila. First, when I heard, what do you mean atheistic Kapila? Right? So, in Lagu Bhagavatam, Shri takes this particular point. There is a different Kapila. So, that Kapila, who is the Amsha of Vasudev, talks about theistic. Basically, the culmination of Sankhya is Bhakti. So, this Kapila, which we have talking about, Kapila Muni, son of Devahuti and Kardama Muni, talks about theistic, personalistic Sankhya philosophy. But there's another Kapila Muni who has the same name as our Kapila and who talked Sankhya philosophy to a person called Asuri, but in an atheistic way. That became more prominent. So sometimes people say Sankhya philosophy, hey, that's impersonal philosophy. Attribute that because that is so famous. But there's two Kapilas. So one which we're talking about in Bhagavatam is theistic Kapila, or say the theistic Sankhya philosophy. Sankhya basically means Sankhya counting. Yes and yes. Too much analysis going on. What is the material elements? Kya hai? What is it? What is not? Too much mental power is required. Right? Sankhya philosophy. So that is, so he says, Rupa says, Sarva Veda Viruddham cha Kapilo Anno Jagadaha. Sarva Veda Viruddham. Against all Vedas. Some Kapila mentioned. Sankyam Asuraye Anismai Kutarka Prabhupitam. That Kapila Muni spread a Sankhya philosophy against the principles of Vedas. So that is atheistic Kapila, Prabhupada mentions. So these are the bearers of knowledge. Okay. The next, the rescuer of the planet. We have Varahadev, the boar incarnation. Bhagavan is so amazing. Bhagavan loves all living entities. So if you see in 10th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, I think it's around 11th, 12th chapter, this beautiful description of the Sakya Leela. Krishna and friends will go into forest and they'll see a frog and they jump like a frog. And they'll see a bird and they sound like a bird. Right? And when they see a shadow of a bird flying, they'll take their hands and start running with them outside. So Bhagavan likes to imitate all different animals because he loves them so much. Right? So Bhagavan also takes all the incarnations, all different. Bhagavan is not partial. He takes incarnations in so many different forms of life. But of course, Varaha is not material. When you see description of Varaha in 3rd canto, you will see how beautiful description is mentioned. Just, animals they do like, they shake their body to shake of water. When Varaha comes out of the ocean, Garbhodak ocean, of taking Mother Earth, he just shakes his body and all his water droplets spread like chana. We have after Aarti we have spread water. It's like that. Beautiful description of Varaha. Beautiful mentioned. Body Vishuddha Sattva. And in Bhagavatam, there's two kind of avatar mentioned: Rakta and Shweta. Varaha. Two avatars mentioned in Varaha. So Varaha appears in different times and different colors. So, but this Varaha avatar mentioned here, at least in third chapter, is Manu lifts Earth, Mother Earth, right? When the Earth went down. So Swayambhu, it comes to third canto. That Swayambhu Mani is asking Brahmaji, you want us to increase progeny? कहाँ पे करें? डूब गया, अर्थ डूब गया, वो क्या करूं? He then immediately Maradeva comes out with the nose and goes in and picks up Mother Earth. Okay? At that time, Maradeva came for whom? To fight against? Hiranyaksh. He was digging earth. Right? And he came, lifted Mother Earth, and then finally, ek chapad. Done in one slap. Just playing with Hiranyaksha, and then one slap and done. Right here, कान के नीचे रखो. मतलब कान के नीचे ना, कान literally कान के नीचे रखो. Just below the ear. कान के नीचे, below the ear, one slap and done. So this Varaha. Okay. Then we have Matsya Avatar. Matsya Avatar is described at the end of the 8th canto, the last chapter of 8th canto, which is Matsya Avatar. And Matsya Avatar comes to for the pleasure of Satyavrata Muni, Satyavrata Maharaj, King Satyavrata. There's a very wonderful king, Satyavrata, and there's a nice description. He gets a fish, puts in a bowl, becomes big, acha theek hai, thoda bada, becomes big, and gets bigger, finally in the ocean. Then, who are you? You just keep somebody big every day. So, Matsya Avatar, out of affection for his devotee, King Satyavrata, appeared in front of him. And that same King Satyavrata became the Manu for the next Manu, Vaivasvata Manu. The current Manu we have, the 7th Manu, is basically King Satyavrata previously, the previous Manu. That makes sense, bro? So we have how many Manus in a day of Brahma? 14 Manus. This is the 7th Manu. We are directly in the middle of the day of Brahma. So 7th Manu, 6th Manu, at the end of the 6th Manu's life, there's devastation. And or Matsya Avatar came to save, to give King Satyavrata a nice tour of the devastation waters. So that is, and then King Satyavrata became the current one we have, Vaivasvata Manu. The other time Matsya Avatar came was to rescue the Vedas. Again, Matsya Avatar comes multiple times, Varaha comes multiple times. So preserving life during the cosmic deluge, flooding, during the devastation, Matsya Avatar comes. Okay. Then we have Kurma Avatar. Wonderful. Bhagavan took the form of Kurma to relieve an itch on his back. मतलब खुजली हो रही है. He came under the Mandarachala Parvat and said, very nice. So amazing. That churning of the bill question, 8th canto, is so amazing. There's so many avatars. Bhagavan helps in so many ways. The Kurma, Mandarachala Parvat, Devatas and Asuras went to bring Mandarachala Parvat. They lifted, and many Devata Asuras got crushed. It's so heavy. They couldn't lift. Bhagavan says, Arrow, look, I'm coming. I'm coming, Garuda. And then picks the Mandarachala Parvat, keeps it. So we have the Mandara, first the Parvat came, and they started Vasuki as a rope. Now they are churning, but it's going down. Vertical stability is not there. Kumar says, okay, I will come. Kurudev comes beneath. Okay, very nice. Start churning. Now what happened? There's no horizontal because it's now sliding here and there. Bhagavan says, okay, I will come again. Sits on top of the Parvat, Mandacha Parvat, called Ajita. Ajita incarnation. So Bhagavan is down, Bhagavan is up. Ajita incarnation. Then start getting, Vasuki starts spitting fire. The Asuras, for Devatas got the head, and Asuras got the tail. Asuras like, hey, why do you have the head? The nice part. We want the nice part. So Bhagavan said, दे दो उनको, चलो। They came, दे दो. This would realize why. Started turning Vasuki's friction. Starts spitting fire. So much heat, so much poison. Says, please help. ठीक है. Start giving rain. Rain is there. Bhagavan helps. That episode is a beautiful episode. Srimad Bhagavatam, 8th canto, churning of the milk ocean. The Samudra Manthan Lila. So again, Kurmadev appears, right? And Kurmadev again is kind of the Kurma example is given in second chapter, second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Become like a tortoise, restrain your senses. Kurma Avatar is mentioned, right? So we have the rescue of the planet. So the knowledge talked about Chatushka Maharaj, Narad Muni, Kapila Muni. We have Varahadev, Matsya Avatar, and Kurma Avatar, rescuing, helping the Devatas and all living entities. Bhagavan is not partial. Bhagavan ne ki Devatas pasand hai. Bhagavan is impartial. One of the qualities of Bhagavan is impartiality. This mentioned in Veda Sutra. Vaishampya, Narganya, means no no partiality. Impartial to everyone. Then we have been with discuss of tyranny. Thod denge, kind of stuff. Narasimhadev, right? Narasimhadev appeared, you could say, for Prahlad Maharaj, but also if you'd say for Hiranyakashipu. If you see the Bhagavatam, you know how is Hiranyakashipu described or addressed? Shri Hiranyakashipu Vacha. Shri Hiranyakashipu Vacha. But we say Ambarish Maharaj, Ambarish Vacha. There's no Shri, but Shri Hiranyakashipu Vacha. Because Bhagavan's dear Parshad. Okay, mas Hiranyakashipu. It's Hiranyakashipu Vacha. Right? So Narasimha appeared just to keep the word Satyam Vidhatum Nija Bhritya Bhashitam. Satyam Vidhatum, just to keep the word Satya. Kiska? Nija Bhritya. His own servant Prahlad Maharaj. Vyativ cha bhuteshu akhilesh chatmana. So that Lord who is Vyapti, who is everywhere present. Then Adbhuta Rupo Dubhan Stambhe Samayam Nambrigam Namanusham. Bhagavatam mentioned. That personality, he appeared from the pillar just to keep a word of his devotee Prahlad Maharaj. And also, he distinguished wanted, Hey Kaisme. Both of them simultaneously. So keep the word of Brahma. He was a very dear devotee. Because Brahma said, right? Okay, Tathastu. All these different combinations, perpetual combination. To keep a word of Brahma, he came in that roof. To keep the word of his devotee Prahlad Maharaj, he came in the pillar. And to keep the word of his Parshad, Hiranyakashipu, he said, is he there? He came in that pillar. So all three, he completed in one shot. Bhagavan, we try to accomplish one thing in one day. Bhagavan accomplishes many things in one setting itself. That is Bhagavan. Right? That is Narasimhadev who came. Right? So we have Ugra Narasimha in Ahobila. Different kinds of Yoga Narasimha, Ugra Narasimha, Shanta Narasimha. Right? But the Ugra Narasimha is the most fierce. This was Sthanu Narasimha. Just came out of Sthanu, the pillar. Extremely ferocious. Jesus want to tear apart. Okay, so that is Narasimhadev. Then we have Parshuram, Bhrigu. Comes the Bhrigu dynasty. Bhriguvara. Parshuram came to annihilate, he annihilated Kshatriya 21 times because they were against the Brahminical principles and they were not performing activities according to the dharma. Right? And we have nice Kartavir Arjuna pastime comes in 9th canto Srimad Bhagavatam. At the bottom, almost the end of 9th canto, the Parshuram avatar. Kartavir Arjuna, I think he took a Kamadhuni cow from Jamadagni, his father, ashram. Just took, pasand aaya mere ko. Chala gaya. Later can see what happened. It was ferocious. Khatam. Single-handedly annihilated the entire Kshatriya dynasty. And the more 9th canto has more details about Parshuram, son of Jamadagni Sudha. Jamadagni. So all the correct ruling class, Parshuram Avatar came. He's very fierce. Parshuram Avatar was he present doing Rama, One of the Chiranjeevis, you could say, during Avatar is present also. It's a long time. He sleeps for a long time. So Parshuram. Now, if you see in this, without going here, sorry, slow. So, so okay, the four Kumaras is Avesh Avatar, investor potency. Narad Muni is Avesh Avatar, Bhakti Shakti, Jnana Shakti. Kapila Muni also, Jnana Shakti. Hmm? Varahadev, Matsya Avatar, Kurma Avatar. They are avatars of Bhagwan. They are not Avesh Avatar, but they have very limited potency. They exhibit limited potency. So there are different grades of avatars also, depending on how much potency they exhibit. So we'll talk about that. In the 20th verse will come. Ete cham sakala pumsam krishnastu bhagavan, so will come, the topmost pinnacle. But beyond that, we have also. So Varahadev, Matsya Avatar. Matsya Avatar is also considered a Leela Avatar, but of very limited potency. Then we have Narsimhadev. Parshuram is an Avesh Avatar. Parshuram is an Avesh Avatar. Then we have the ideal kings and healers. Rama, Sri Ramachandra. Right? So Sri Ram came Naravat to the Naravat Leela, human-like pastimes. Right? That is why he will see he will lead with hand. Bhagwan's Angani Yasya Sakalendra Vrittimanti. He can eat with his ears, eyes also. But he eats with hand to show human-like nature. Right? And he exhibits what ideal king should be, what ideal husband, ideal king. He mentions that beautiful details in Ramayana. We know that. And so much so that Shri Shukadeva Goswami says, "Oh, Parikshit, I'm going to describe Ramayana in very brief. Why? Because you have been hearing this pastime many times since your childhood." Bhagavatam mentioned. Puna, Muhur, means again and again. You have heard so many times. I'm just give briefly Ramayana in very, very small set of verses and go ahead. Because I already know. Shukadeva Goswami runs through it. So Ramchandra established Maryada Purushottam. Okay? Then we have who? Prithu Maharaj. Prithu actually also means herb, Parthivam herb. So he had the potency of ruling, the ruling potency of Bhagwan, right? By the exhibit of Prithu Maharaj. You see, he comes, he was churned out from the body of his father, King Vena, was a terrible ruler. And from him came Prithu Maharaj and Archi, his wife. So Prithu Maharaj beautifully ruled the earthen planet and dug these herbs. Mother was so, in fact, at one point, mother was, I don't want to give grains, anything. Became extremely angry. What do you mean by that? So he has fierce sleep as well. But for him, he exhibits potency of ruling of Bhagwans. Then we have Dhanvantri. Which part will be Dhanvantri game? Which part? Right? Samudra Manthan Lila. Right? Yeah, Dhanvantri is Ayurveda. Right? So at the end of Samudra Manthan Lila, what happened? What came? Amrit. Dhanvantri. Right? Amrit came. So that is also an avatar of Bhagwan. So these are all Vishuddha Sattva. The bodies are not like ours. And the same avatar at the end came the divine strategist. Second one, if you go second one, who came? Mohini Murti right after that to bewilder the Asuras. But someone tried to sneak in. Rahu tried to sneak in, disguised as the Devata. But Devata realized, hey, Asura बैठा है बीच में. Immediately, Mohini Murti just chopped his head off. The Amrit, he touched Amrit, he drank Amrit. Before it went below his neck, he chopped right there. Right? So Mohini Murti came to bewilder the Asuras. Very sweet words. And Bhagavan Shiva is that personality who makes Mother Parvati sit on his lap and read Bhagavatam. And we saw Chitraketu Maharaj. He didn't pass a comment. He passed a comment basically, but it was very nice. Mother Parvati took it wrong way. But he's so sober, very controlled. Bhagavan Shiva, very controlled, right? He doesn't get agitated very easily unless someone kuch गड़बड़ के मतलब at least to the opposite sex. Very controlled. But looking at Mohini Murti, all hell broke loose. He started running after Mohini Murthy. That means that Mohini Murthy was not someone ordinary. Bhagavan himself. Bhagavan himself came in feminine form. What happened? So beautiful, right? So there's Mohini Murthy, Bhagavan's avatar. Then we have Shvaman Dev in this beautiful verse in the uh, Dashavata Sutra. Chalayasi Vikramane Balim Adbhuta Vamana Padanakha Neera Janita Jana Pavana. Chalayasi. He छल किया. He क्या छल क्या बोलते हैं? Cheated. He cheated Bali Maharaj. Vikram ने बलिम अद्भुत वामन. He cheated Bali Maharaj. And Pada Nakha Neera Janita. Pada Nakha, the nails of his toe, Neera, water Janita was born. Which water is it? Ganga. Pada Nakha Neera Janita Jana Pavana. That Ganga can purify the entire universe. Keshav Dhrita Vamana Sharira Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Vaman Dev. Right? So in Vyakaran, in Sanskrit Vyakaran, Shri Jiva Goswami writes, so we have, in Sanskrit we have Laghu and Guru, short syllable, long syllable. I, U. Laghu, short syllables. A, I, O, Au, the Laghu. Okay? The long syllables. So Shri Jiva Goswami writes, why do you go Laghu Guru? Which फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा है. This nothing. When we say Laghu Guru, we are not getting any, not sharing Bhagwan's name. He says Laghu means Vaman. And bigger letter, long syllable is Trivikram. Vaman Devas, small, I, U. Vaman became big, Trivikram. So when you say Sanskrit grammar, Jiva Goswami says, we don't say Laghu Guru. We say Vaman Trivikram. In that we are saying Bhagwan's name. It's called Sankitya. It's called Namabhas. Saying Bhagwan's name, but not with intention of, but just saying Bhagwan's name is also very powerful. Namabhas. Laghu, Guru, Laghu, Vaman, Trivikram, Achyuta. So many words as Bhagwan's names are there. Okay, Vaman Dev, Mohini Murthy, and then Buddha. Buddha come to preach non-violence. But he rejects Vedas. So Jiva Goswami writes in Bhakti Rasam Sindhu, even if Bhagwan comes and Bhagwan says no to Vedas, we don't accept the Bhagwan. That Bhagwan who says no to Vedas, we don't accept the Bhagwan. That's how important Vedas are. The source. Such an important position, Bhagwan who says no to Vedas, nahi chahiye humko. So he says in comment to Bhakti Sindhu that the teachings of Buddha or the Tatraya, they're not authoritative because they're not based on Vedas. So when you say, right, Nastik Astik is not based on the belief of God, on God. Astik means those who believe Vedas. Nastik means don't believe Vedas. Simple. According to Sanatana philosophy, Astik are those who have faith in Vedas. If you don't have faith in Vedas, then Nastik. And Vedas are different ways. So many different ways. So Astik and Nastikvad is based on the faith in Shastra or Vedas basically. Okay. Now, so we have talked about divine strategies. Then we have at the end. Now, in between all this, some of the avatars are not mentioned here. For example, we have the Tatraya mentioned, the son of Anasuya, Atri and Anasuya. When Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu came, so please accept, give me, ask what you want. Can you three come as my child? The Tatraya came in that form. So the Tatraya is one mentioned, not mentioned. I'm just saying Bhagavatam mentioned, not mentioned in the slides. Then we have Rishabhadev, son of King Nabha, right? Who was son of Rishabhadev, the famous from Rishabhadev? Bharat Maharaj. Remember Jada Bharat Maharaj? He had 100 sons. The eldest was Bharat Maharaj. And Rishabhadev exhibits the potency of renunciation, extreme renunciation. Right? So much so that it's very difficult to implement in his age. We can take the teachings, but we cannot follow the exact way he did. Next to impossible. But Rishabhadev exhibited that teaching of renunciation, how to be detached. Uh, then let's see if anything else. Vaman, think there. Okay. So all in all, we have 22 incarnation mentioned in the chapter. From all the first verse, all the way till 27th verse. We have 22 incarnations mentioned. How many? 22. And the last one mentioned here is Kalki at the end of Kali Yuga. Okay. So even the place of birth, the father and the mother of Kalki is mentioned in Shastra. So if we say, hey, avatar of Bhagavan, the person mentioned in Shastra, yes, okay, we can accept. If not, bogus. Again, Shastra is the Praman, the basis. We have Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Of these three, who is most prominent? Shastra. Because Shastra will give bona fideness, so to say, to Guru and Sadhu. Shastra is more prominent. So when you say Shastriya Shraddha, I mean, with Shraddha, right? Shraddha, Sangha. Shraddha in what?
Yes.
Shastra. Because that Shastra gives every bona fideness, authenticity to everything else. So Shastriya Shraddha, Jiva Goswami says, should be there. Okay, so we have Kalki coming at the end. Now, after this, the previous one. Hmm. Oh, sorry. Bit slow. Okay, we have this. So this comes at the end of the, what to say, this 26th verse. Avatar hi asankhyeya hare sattva nidhi duja. Asankhya avatar. So this verse, 26th verse, is talked about. There are many incarnations which are not talked, like Hamsa avatar, Ashwa. Now we have higher Shirsha, high Griva avatar, not mentioned here in this section. To encapsulate all of them, so the Guru says there are unlimited avatars. I can't tell anything. Everything, all the avatars, impossible. They said how many waves are there in the ocean? That many avatars are there. Asankhya avatar. But there's one source from whom everything comes. That makes sense? So these are like rivulets from an inexhaustible source of water. This source of water, an inexhaustible source, rivulets, streams are coming down. All avatars are like that. They're all eternal. Now, sir, ये source क्या है? The source of water, all rivulets come. Source क्या है? Then we'll come to this verse, this section. The Paribhasha Sutra. Ete cham sakala pumsam krishnastu bhagavan swayam indrari vyakulam lokam vadayanti yuge yuge. Right? Ete means, in Sanskrit we say, right? We say de, those, जो अभी बताया, एते. वो क्या है? There, amsa and kala. Amsa means a portion. Kala means a portion of the portion. Ete cha amsa kala pumsam. Pumsam means what? Who? Purusha avatars. First time. They're all Bhagwan. But Krishna's too. But two is here. Two means what? But. When you say but, you say, right? Oh, these are this is. But. When you see here but, that means we're making some distinction immediately, right? So two matlab, water spoke, they're all Amsha, they're Kala, all Bhagwan. But Krishnastu Bhagwan Swayam is Swayam Bhagwan. So Yoga says this is the Paribhasha Sutra. So Paribhasha, the definition of Paribhasha. The definition of Paribhasha is, I had, oh, sorry. The Vedas definition. Jiva Goswami gives a definition of Paribhasha. No, Chavdari Thakur gives a definition. How to find it? Okay, so basic Paribhasha is basically that sutra around which entire text revolves. Does that make sense? So when we say, right, Bhakti Sindhu, definition of Uttama Bhakti. We say, right, Anya Bilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadinavratam Anukulya Krishnanushilan Bhakti Uttama. That is Paribhasha Sutra. The entire Bhakti Sindhu revolves around the sutra. The entire Srimad Bhagavatam revolves around. So if there are any contradictions, oh, मैंने यहाँ पे ये सुना, मैंने यहाँ पे ये सुना. So the entire thing has to be resolved around this verse. This has to be most prominent, and everything has to resolve around this verse. So I'll talk about, I don't know if you have time. So, but my desire was to, this sutra, this verse is the seed verse for the Krishna Sandarbha. Jiva Goswami gives Sandarbhas, I give Sandarbhas, right? 6 Sandarbhas. The Tattva, Bhagavat, Paramatma, Krishna, Bhakti, and Priti Sandarbha. 6 Sandarbhas within Bhagavatam. The root verse for Krishna Sandarbha is this particular verse. He takes this verse and says, now I'm going to show you the victory parade. This is how he describes. I want to talk more about this. We don't have much time. We've not completed the verse chapter yet. It's the 20th verse, 41 verses. We have the halfway there. Kind of halfway there. Right? So I'll just go ahead and come back. If you have time, 10 minutes, we can go over. We'll talk about that. But this is the verse. So Krishna is saying, Bhagavan Krishna, in the avatar, Krishna and Balaram also mentioned. The 22 avatars, mein, Krishna and Balaram also mentioned. Remember what is the definition of avatar? Nishpapanchat papancho api avatarati iti avatar. Nishpapanchat, from Nishpapancha, from the outside material world, comes this papanche, in this papancha, avatarati iti avatar. That entity comes from beyond the material world into this world is called avatar. So Krishna is an avatar, descending. He descends from that particular world. It's avatar. But of all the avatars, Krishna is to Bhagavan Swayam. He's Swayam Bhagavan. Others are not. Others are Bhagavan, but they're not Swayam Bhagavan. So, we as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, right? If we consider ourselves as Krishna Bhakta, right? So we are Lord Ram, Narasimha, everyone is there. But we should be Krishnas to Bhagavan Swayam. And Jiva Goswami, to solidify that particular point, he writes the Krishna Sandarbha, delineating every aspect of Bhagavan. Who Bhagavan is, Bhagavan's character, everything mentioned in Krishna Sandarbha. Who's son of, who's the mother of Bhagavan? Devaki or Mother Yashoda? Again, fully with Shastra, with perfect pinpoint accuracy, Krishna Sandarbha writes. Everything from Bhagavatam. He picks up each and every verse and says this is mentioned here. What we miss outside, very easily, in pinpoint accuracy, he mentioned. Krishna Sandarbha. Beautiful book. So, go ahead. After this section, we'll come back to that particular sutra. The Virat Rupa is mentioned. But this Virat Rupa is not mentioned as a part of 22 avatars. If you see, Krishna Bhagavan Swayam, avatar is finished. After that, Sudhava Mishra is mentioning Virat Rupa. See that the Virat Rupa is for those yogis who are not able to comprehend Bhagavan has a beautiful form. They consider the entire universe like Bhagavan's form. Patal is on his feet, Arthivan is his middle, Sthaloka's head. So they have some kind of their material conception. For them to consider Bhagavan's form, the Virat Rupa is mentioned. But it's not an eternal form. We have the 11th chapter, 11th chapter, 11th chapter, 10th chapter basically, universal form in Bhagavad Gita, right? Uniform mention. That's not an eternal form. It's mentioned so that people can have at least some kind of conception, initial conception. But finally, we should come back to Bhagavan's Shamsundar form, right? Fight to the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. So that's the material from Virat Rupa is covered in this. There are few, I think 5 or 6 verses covered in this section. Then at the end, I remember I told, oh yeah, the example, definition. I'll come. So this section, this third chapter was the answer to the question asked, one of the question asked by Sutta Goswami, the Rishis. What are different incarnations of Bhagavan? Remember 6 questions? First chapter, what different incarnations of Bhagavan? That is answered in this particular chapter. One more question was asked. What is the essence of all scripture? And one more last question was, after Krishna has left, all these 3 questions are in this chapter. So now the essence of all Shastra. Kya hai? So in this context, the verse mentioned is here. Yeah. Tad idam grahyam asa sutam atmavatam varam sarva veda itihasa nam saram samudhritam. In this chapter comes sarva veda itihasa nam sarva veda itihaso mein saram, the essence of the essence, samudhritam, I've given you. The essence of all scripture. बड़े पूछा ना क्वेश्चन जा रहा. This is given. Ved Vyas gave the essence of all scriptures to his son Shukdev Goswami. Bhagavatam is the essence, the cream of the cream. दूध से दही, दही से मक्खन. That makhan butter is this particular Srimad Bhagavatam. From churning of his heart, Bhagavatam has come out. Now, that is the answer for that prescriptive essence of all scriptures. Now, Krishna has left the planet. किधर गए? कृष्णे सुधाम उपगते धर्म ज्ञानादिभि सह करो नष्टो दिशमेशा पुराण अर्क उदिनोदित. Arka means sun. This Purana, like a sun, has appeared. When the Krishna sun set or disappeared, other sun appeared. Srimad Bhagavatam, literary incarnation. So we can be blind by two ways. Poker eyes, like Birlamang Thakur, actual blind, or you turn off all the light. Your eyes becomes blind. In a dark room, your room, turn off all the light. You still have eyesight, but it's so dark, his eyes becomes blind. What's the best way to see? Switch it on, right? So in this dark age of Kali, we have eyes, but it's so dark we can't see actually what is right, what is wrong, what is truth. This sun like Srimad Bhagavatam appeared to give vision. When sun comes, everything becomes clear. When sun like Bhagavatam came, everything becomes clear. That makes sense, bro? So Krishna swadhama upagate. Krishna अपने स्वधाम में चले गए. किसके साथ? धर्म ज्ञान आदि भी सह. धर्म ज्ञान आदि के साथ. धर्म के साथ में चले. भगवान यू गोइंग, हम भी आ रहे. हम क्या करें यहाँ पे? What to do here? They're coming with you. Bhagavatam appeared. That is even Bhagavatam. Right? And at the end, Sridhar says, I was in the assembly, sitting with rapt attention. Or Shukdev Goswami was saying. At the bottom left, we have Sridhar Goswami. The right, we have Parashit Maharaj. We have Narad Muni in the left. In the middle, we have Vyasadeva sitting. Right? So, he says, O Lord Brahmanas, I heard Shukdev Goswami speaking Bhagavatam to Parashit Maharaj with rapt attention, and thus by his mercy, I learned Bhagavatam from that great and powerful sage. Now I shall try to make you hear the very same thing as I learned it from him, and as I have realized it. Yadha dhitam yatha mati. So we should not be just like a parrot. Copy, paste. Yatha dhitam yatha mati. I understood. I tried to manthan, contemplate, and realized and spoke. Prabhupada says, talks about in the fourth chapter, first verse, or the first canto. What does realization mean? It does not mean just copy paste and no. Realize it and speak according to the audience without diluting the actual essence. That makes sense? So, to cater to the audience, we should not dilute. We should present the exact same thing, but in a way according to their understanding, what they can assimilate. That is realization. So, a PhD student who has learned, understood, practicing what is the student is learning can describe easily to any level of audience. But if I start talking about quantum mechanics, I don't know myself kya batayega. How do you know? How can I explain to someone else? But if I talk about VLSI design something, I can talk to any level of student because I'm doing it right now. The more we practice, the more we assimilate, the better we can share with others. That's the essence. With rapt attention. Folios. Okay? And this liberation comes from submissive hearing. Prabhupada says. So, and this is mentioned by Shukdev Goswami at the end of 12th canto, says that there is someone called Sridhar Goswami sitting in the audience. And he will speak this Bhagavatam to the sages assembled in Naimisharanya at the end. He predicts what was going to happen. He'll speak what I'm talking to you, Parashit Maharaj. He'll speak to the Naimisharanya sages in the future. Right? When Shaunak Rishi starts asking questions, predicted by Shukdev Goswami. That makes sense? So this is the end of the third chapter. So basically we talked about the Purusha avatars first, then various Leela avatars, Yuga avatars, Manvantara avatars, Yajna, Manvantara avatar, so many Avish avatars. We talked about that. Then Sukha Goswami said, but Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. After that, that which is considered as an avatar, but it's not the Virat Rupa. Because, Are Bhagavan ka avatar? No, no, avatar nahi. Just a material conception, attributing different the forms of Bhagavan to different parts of the universe. So it's not considered avatar. So that is mentioned after Krishna to Bhagavan Swayam. And after that, right, mentioned about how Bhagavad is the essence. Vyasadeva churned it. See, right? Saram Saram, the essence of the essence is Bhagavatam. And Bhagavatam is like the sun. And I heard that Bhagavatam spoken by Shukdev Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj, rapt attention at the bank of the Ganga. And now, and I heard that, and now I'm going to speak it to you. That is the entire data flow, I would say, flow of the chapter, the third chapter, in a high level overview. So if I take 5 minutes, I'll just have to explain Paribhasha Sutra, the different Paribhasha. Okay, just different. Yeah, I had it. Please, please. Oh. Okay. परिभाषा ही एक देशास्था सकलम शास्त्रम. Deshakal means is situated in one place. Paribhasha Sutra is not repeated multiple times. It is mentioned once. Okay. Then Abhi Prakashayati Itha Veshpa Pradeepa. But let's say, you put a lamp in one part of the house, let the entire room. Right? So it sits in one place, Paribhasha Sutra, but lights up the entire literature. Like a Paribhasha Sutra. That makes sense? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a brief description of how Jiva Goswami describes this Paribhasha Sutra. Okay? In 5 minutes. It's beautiful. Krishna Sandarbha. Yes. So now, when an emperor, so this Vakya, this Paribhasha Krishna Bhagavan Swami is considered the emperor statement. Emperor मतलब क्या है? राजा के राज, राजा अधिराज. Other na, when we have called it, emperor means the king of kings. The Krishna Bhagavan Swami is the emperor statement. Now, when emperor comes back after attaining victory, there's a nice parade that enters the kingdom. So what is the victory which this verse have attained? Why is this considered an emperor statement? It has won over all other statements and established I am supreme. Does that make sense? Emperor statement. Now when emperor comes in the parade, there are 4 elements, Chaturanga and 4 Angas. There is chariot, there's elephants, there's cavalry and infantry. Still, okay? So when the emperor comes, sits on the chariot. We have elephants, cavalries, and infantry all moving with the emperor, right? So this verse is like that. Now, what is the chariot? Chariot is what supports the king, emperor. Okay? The chariot are those statements, those verses from Bhagavatam, which supports Krishna to Bhagavan Swayam directly. That makes sense? And we'll see a couple of, I just see the verse number at least for your reference. Okay? The chariot are those verses which support the emperor statement, Krishna to Bhagavan Swayam. Okay? Now we have the elephants. What are the elephants? Conversations in Bhagavatam. What are the major conversations in Bhagavatam which you know of? So, koi Parikshit Maharaj, Shukdev Goswami, big one. What else? Narayana. Yudhishthira Maharaj, 7th Canto in Bhagavatam. Suta Goswami, Rishi, Vidura Maitreya Sambad. There's so many, right? These conversations are the elephants. And what does it indicate? The recipient, the speaker, and the recipient, they both want to hear only about Krishna. This is the first 6 questions by Suta Goswami. It's a Shaunak Rishi. The first 2 questions, essence of all scriptures. What is the ultimate benefit for humanity? The next 4 questions are directly about Krishna. Not other avatars. No. Krishna. Saha Ramena Keshava. क्योंकि देवकी से कैसा आया? Krishna बंदिल. अरे सब Krishna. They want to hear about Krishna. Suta Goswami want to speak about Krishna. Shukdev was going to speak about Krishna. Parikshit Maharaj wants to hear the one statement in Emperor Elephant statement. Parikshit Maharaj says, after hearing one part of Bhagavatam, his entire mind was offered to Krishna. Let's say if I talk about one particular avatar of Bhagavan. Okay? But at the end, my mind offered to Krishna. That doesn't happen. Unless you hear something about one particular personality, if you hear about Krishna, then you will say, oh, my mind offered to Krishna. Right? Shukdev was already want to speak about Krishna. Such an extent, Parikshit Maharaj said, after hearing this, I offer my entire mind to Krishna. That means Shukdev Goswami must speak about Krishna. That makes sense? The conversations are the elephants, big gigantic conversations, in which the speaker and the hearer don't speak only about Krishna. Bhagavatam is establishing. Jiva Goswami established that from the Bhagavatam. Then with cavalry. Cavalry is more technical. You call hermeneutics. I won't go much into it. They made different layers. Jiva Goswami gives much more a technical analysis. Then infantry are repetitions, abhyas, Krishna, 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 Krishna. So many. Ambrish Maharaj, right? Sabe mana Krishna Padaravandi, not Vishnu. Krishna Padaravandi. In Satyuga में था ये. But say I want to miss my Sabe mana Krishna Padar. He is causing the mind on the lotus feet of Krishna. The Krishna has to be actual Krishna, or Shamsundar Krishna, or Vasudeva Krishna. So all in entire Bhagavatam, Jiva Goswami takes these verses and puts that entire Bhagavatam is about only Krishna. But when you say, but there are all the other avatars also, how to understand that part? So as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we should say Krishna putting a mask of lion is Narasimhadev. Krishna was putting mask, but what bird? Krishna acting like a Krishna put a mask of lion is Narasimhadev. Right? So when you say Narasimhadev, I heard this in the book, very beautiful. When you say Narasimha Arti, do you want to go to Narasimha Lok? But at least Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we should decide to go to Golok Vrindavan. With Narasimha Arti, we are saying Narasimha Arti, when we say we don't do Narasimha Lok. We are praying to Shri Krishna who put a lion mask. So Narasimha, who is Nara? Jiva Goswami says Nara means Brajavasis, people. And Simha means the best. Who is the best among Brajavasis? Shri Krishna, the best among Brajavasis, Narasimha. Rukmini calls Krishna as Narasimha in the 10th Canto of Bhagavatam. He writes the letter, the love letter, when she writes, she calls Krishna as Narasimha. He's the best among Brajavasis. Prahlad kaun hai? Alad means happiness. Brajavasis are the embodiment of Sandranandam Sheshatma. Remember the six characteristic of Uttama Bhakti? Intense bliss. Alad. Prahlad means concentrated ecstatic bliss. Brajavasis are the embodiment of that. So Krishna comes to give happiness to Prahlad like Brajavasis. So when you sing Narasimha Arti, you're speaking to Krishna, who came as mask of lion. So our entire thing, Nija Devishta, whatever we look at, should be Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. But Krishna is like this. Krishna came like this. That should be our chitta, our mood. Because here, Aradhyo Bhagavan, Brajesh Tanaya Sadhama Vrindavan. That is Mahaprabhu's philosophy. Bhagavan kaun hai? Brajesh Tanaya, the son of the Braja Isha. And Dham Vrindavan is as worshipable as Shri Krishna himself. That should be our mood. There's so many things we can talk about. This entire class, multiple class can talk about this particular verse itself. Right? But because we've been doing this series of chapter by chapter, this is the best I can do. Or bottled broken words. So thank you so much for kind, patient listening, coming here and blessing me with your presence. Right? As I mentioned, Yadataskhalitam Kinchit, Haripasha says that differently wrong thing which I mentioned. Please, you're like Saragrahi Vaishnava, say swan takes milk out of milk and water. You're like swans. You can take the milk out of the water and give the water away. Thank you so much for kind. Are there any questions or anything, any points, any reflections? Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you for such a wonderful class, Prabhuji, as
Okay.
always. I have 2-3 questions, but I can let others also. The first question I had was, there is a description of Hiranyagarbha in the chapter. Can you please elaborate a little bit? about
That part is very good taken in Laghu Bhagavatam. There are different kinds of Hiranyagarbha.
Okay.
Brahma has Three different forms. There's a Sukshma, there's a Brahma has four-headed, and there's Hiranyagarbha. Lagu Bhagavatam, first chapter, talks about that aspect. So Lagu Bhagavatam is beautiful. The first chapter talks about different avatars. The first Purusha avataras, second Guna avataras. And when it comes to Brahma, Bhagwan takes the form of Brahma when there's no particular living entity suitable for that. But after that, this Jiva. But Brahma also has different types of Brahma, I could say. Whatever Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha basically means one of the golden lotus or golden egg. Hiranyagarbha. So that description much more Lagu Bhagavatam. I'll take a point to you. Better than me would be taking directly from Rupa Rupa Goswami. Lagu Bhagavatam, first chapter. Yes.
I think Prabhu, you had a question.
Yeah, I had one question.
Yes, Prabhu.
First of all, thank you very much for doing this. I know it could be very tough with the kids and the job. Thank you very much. I learned a lot today. I had actually a clarification question.
Yes.
So I have known that like we have like four sampradayas, right? Gauriya Sampradaya and Radha, like, and that came from Krishna ji transferring knowledge to Brahma ji and then four Kumars and then Shiv ji and then
Lakshmi Devi.
Lakshmi Devi. Right? So I got confused that when you talked about the bearers of knowledge. So what is that knowledge? So here also there was four Kumars and then there was Naraji and there's. So what is that knowledge versus this knowledge?
So the two that you could say when the Chatukshas were born, appeared in Brahma, they were Brahmavadis. So at that time, remember they went to Vaikuntha. They were like Shukdev Goswami, they're Brahmavadis. They're two kind of impersonalists, Brahmavadi and Mayavadi. They're not one. Sometimes we put impersonal matlab sab gay way. We just put in one bracket. The traditional Vedic understanding, this Brahmavadi means they want to merge Brahman. Okay? But they don't blaspheme or deride the person from Bhagwan. They say, oh, their person from Bhagwan or their personality came from Brahman. It's also eternal. But Brahman is the source. They're both eternal, but we have Ishta is Brahman. They don't cause offense and notice to Bhagwan. They're Brahmavadis, and they're perfectly fine. They're perfectly fine. Mayavadis are aparadhi. Mahaprabhu says, they say Bhagwan Maya group hai. They directly blaspheme the form of Bhagwan. Mayavadi, Param Aparadhi. So the Kumaras were Brahmavadis. Shukdev Goswami, Brahmavadi. Right? So that is the Gyan Shakti, the impersonal knowledge, Veda Gyan. They invested with the potency of knowledge. Just like Nagmani is with the potential of bhakti, with knowledge in Veda Gyan, you could say. But at one point, they also had Sampradaya, Kumar Sampradaya, right? So that in which their proponent is Radha Krishna philosophy. Kumar Sampradaya we have in Vrindavan Yugala Kishore, right? In Vrindavan, they say there's only 7 deities. Sapta Devalaya, right? In Vrindavan, the 7 prominent deities. One of the deity of Kumar Sampradaya, Marka Sampradaya. Kishore. So when is that Shakti talking about, right, which mentioned in this particular chapter, is the Gyan of Shastra Gyan, impersonal, especially Upanishads. This makes sense, Prabhu? Upanishad Gyan, when say Gyan Yoga or Gyanis, they're more related to impersonal or from Upanishads. That is mentioned. Basically, they're repository of knowledge. So all the, if you want to see, the exemplary examples of people who have knowledge, so much knowledge they have. And renunciation comes along with that. They were no clothes, Digambar, renunciant, like Krishna. They exhibit that. But the Sampradayas, you could say, later you could say if you want to. Does it make sense, too?
Can you repeat the last part?
The later part of Shatkumar would be the Kumar Sampradayas which they have found. That makes sense, too? Two different things, you could say, compartmentalized, two different things.
Okay.
There is knowledge, Upanishad knowledge. Of course, Nadmil also has knowledge. But prominent is Bhakti, Shakti. So they represent different, as I mentioned, they are prominents. Nadmul is renunciant. He also very renounced. But they exemplify different potency of Bhagwan. It's not that or ek hi hai, kuch nahi hai. Not like that. They exemplify some portion of some Shaktis of Bhagwan. That makes sense, bro?
So one is related to primarily related to like Shastra focused.
Yeah, impersonal Veda Gyan, Upanishad Gyan, it may mainly on that. Yeah.
And the other is related to more spiritual and personal.
Yeah, different thing.
One more, okay, please go ahead. I'll ask later.
Yeah, that. Yes, bro.
I think, I don't know, but I heard that the teachings of Buddha and Dattatraya also is not
Yeah, but I don't know about that. Jiva Goswami says in Bhakti Rasam Sindhu,
Dattatraya,
Dattatreya also.
because Buddha, that
Dattatreya also. If you see in Bhakti Rasam Sindhu, first ocean, Eastern Ocean, second chapter mein, almost to the after the all the angas of bhakti are mentions that particular part. That ekantika this verse, Shruti Smriti Puranadi Panchatik Minina. In that verse, and the next verse after that, Sri Prabhupada writes a verse to clarify that point. In the commentary to the particular verse, Jiva writes this particular point. Dattatreya, Buddha, they're not authoritative. Was reject the Vedas. We know the avatars from the Vedas, but rejecting the Veda itself, ये कौन तरीका होगा? This is not authoritative. He's right that. Jiva Goswami.
yeah, because there is
Yeah. This one.
Maharashtra, I think it's
Maharashtra. Yeah, prominent. And at least they have Bhagavan, let them do not disturb. करना करो.
one more the definition of avatar that's coming from there.
I don't know. I learned long back. I just remembered it. This Prapancha Prapancho Opi Avatarti iti Avatar. I remember that statement. Maybe I couldn't find it. But mostly one of the acharyas was given. Sridhar Swami is given. Prabhu. I couldn't find it. Yeah.
Thank you. You give the nice example about the paranadaxization, civilization, spoke about that. Another thing probably is bewildered me, the Varaka lifting earth pastimes. I'm reading a 2.7 in second canto right now. That also comes.
Yes.
So how does actually is like we can visualize with our limited knowledge of how is the earth bent and how is the lifted.
So Earth went to Garbhodaka ocean.
Garbhodaka.
So it's called Earth. Earth is it's not Earth. Bhumandal. So Earth is part of Bhumandal. If you see fifth canto of Bhagavatam, because cosmology, this Earth plane, earthly planet, and the other Atal, Vittal, Sutal, Rasal, Patal, they are not different planets. They are like, say, you have a land, you dig the land, and you create an entire civilization underneath the earth. Does it make sense, bro? So they're like that. It's called subterranean planets. It's under the earth, Bhumandal. It's like thick. Just imagine Bhumandal is like thick sheet of rock, whatever. And between these rocks, we have different Atala, Sutal, Vitara, Satala, different levels. An entire Bhumandala was in Garbhodaka ocean. And Earth, in the Earth, there are 7 islands. Earthly planet has 7 islands. In Bhagavatam. First, we're called Jambudvip. Okay? In Jambudvip, there are different Varshas. Bharat Varsha, Hiranyagar Varsha, Kim Purusha Varsha, not different Varshas. The southernmost part of Jambudvip is called Bharat Varsha. In Bharat Varsha, there are 9 divisions called Khandas. Bharat Khanda. That is where Earth is. Does that make sense, bro? So Earth, when we say, it's not just our Earth. Entire Bhumandal was underneath. But we just show the round globe just for ease of it. That makes sense, bro?
So I think one is that when the annihilation happens, Prabhuji, at that time the entire Bhumandala
Was
went into the water of devastation. So when Brahmaji wanted to create, there was
nothing to create.
Mandala was missing, it was in the earth.
Varaha
So that's when Varahadev lifts it.
and place it back in the correct position. That makes sense, bro?
And
So we cannot experience it because it's way outside our scope. We can't put this limited universe. पता नहीं कितना है.
We talk like sun rotating at.
There are 2 different comments. So if you see, Prabhu, in Yoga Sutra also, Yoga Sutras, Patanjali says at the end of Yoga Sutras, the vision of a yogi is very similar to what I mentioned in Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam cosmology which is mentioned is a different reality. Because there are many scientists, devotees like Sadaputta Prabhu, we have Bhakti Swami Damodar Maharaj. They try to have some kind of connection to explain it, but it's a different reality altogether. That is true. So it's with Vedic, I would say, if I could say that it will be impossible to fully connect this, what we are seeing right now, Earth, Sun, whatever, right, to what means Bhagavatam. It's different reality altogether. To different reality. That is Samadhi. In Samadhi, what we see is mentioned Bhagavatam. What we see is different. We cannot picture that exactly. One-to-one correspondence being at any point of time. We can try our best. At least that's my view is.
So,
Yeah.
Prabhuji, when Lord Varahadev, lifts the Bhumandala, he's called Shweta Varaha at that time, right? Then there is the Rakta Varaha. That's when he kills Hiranyaksha.
Yeah,
What's the class going on?
about to end.
About-
10 minutes. That's it. Thank you.
Oh, you have class for you?
So you can start
We can start.
out.
Yeah.
So the Rakta Varaha is when he kills Hiranyaksha.
Sure.
So in description, it is also said that he looks bluish, right? But I think in the description of Shweta Varaha maybe, because Sutta Goswami says that Vyasadevji says that how Maitreya Muni, he kind of combines all these Varaha avatars in that one section. So it's little confusing
Yeah.
that.
I've not heard blue Mati still. I heard white. I had heard red and white. Blue and red, I would have to go and check the Mati.
Okay, but then the Raktavara, is there a significance of why he's called Raktavara?
Red color.
Okay, so he just comes as the red.
White.
Not because he kills Hiranyaksha.
No.
I think I'm reading too much.
No. That was it's called the Kalpa, which when Varahadev came with white, Shweta, to Shweta Varaha Kalpa. And Dev Brahma is called Shweta Varaha Kalpa. It's just reddish color. Yeah. The
Thank you.
Thanks. Reddish, rectangle, right? Reddish hue. Tint. Yes. Anything? Any corrections? Please
Yeah,
feel
another
free.
thing is conflict comes about the Buddha Avtara.
Mhm.
He says whatever. I don't know. We actually say whatever Krishna says, we just follow.
Yeah.
But
When Krishna comes and says not to Vedas, we reject the Bhagwan itself.
sorry, repeat.
When Bhagwan comes, Avatara, and rejects Vedas, we say Bhagwan reject. That's how prominent Vedas are. भगवान ने बोला वेदा को नो तो भगवान को नो. No. So again, Bhagwan comes, there are different reasons for those. So Buddha came, was mentioned, right?
Yeah, it's time and circumstances. Basically.
Circumstances to know to Vedas. They say plan, it's a sequential plan to Bhagwan. But it was that Buddha, that avatar was never to be taken as a full teachings. It was to stop the momentarily things, for misuse of Vedas. The Shastra mentioned, the Shastra also. To misuse, the use of misusing Vedas was done to kill animals, to stop that. और उस पे ही पूरा हमने परंपरा बना दिया, मतलब वो तो that's not the intention of. But again, Bhagavan himself says, end of 12th canto in Bhagavatam, Bhagavan says, I come again and again. And in fact, in the 11th canto says, there are two forms of mind, Shabda Brahma and this form. Vedas is a sound form of Bhagavan. Shabda Brahma. That Brahma is as good as Bhagavan. Bhagavan says no to Vedas for a reason. So Veda is so prominent for us. Bhagavan says no to Vedas. Bhagavan says if you no to Vedas, हमको नहीं. That means बराबर नहीं.
Where is this?
11th canto. Two forms. Tanu says Tanu is a form of Bhagavan. Tanu, the two forms, Tanu, Shabda Brahma and this Rupa. 11th canto Shiv Bhagavatam. So Shastra is that prominent. For Shastra should be the basis. No matter who says whatever. Shastra. Substantiated by Shastra. Raman. Shastra is there. Shastra Shraddha. Yeah. Sorry, it's way over time.
Small question.
Yes, Adi.
So all the incarnations that are given in this chapter,
Mhm.
are they given like in order or they are just
No.
exactly?
Yeah, very nice question. Vishal Chakri Thakur mentioned the first commentary. His rights. They mention, but they're not in the order of their appearance. Just mentions. He writes very clearly. Yeah.
Yeah, so they comes before.
No. He writes, this is just order, not particular order, just mentions that particularly.
And it's in your
Chavati
Bhagavatam Darshan,
Chapter
it can-
Yes. The second one, first can be chapter, this chapter.
Oh, sorry, first can, it's a
Third
second
chapter.
chapter. that
First can, yes. Second chapter mentions that. Yes,
So there is one more question. So one was related to what the Buddha ji, but I was just curious on the 22 incarnations. Like there was no mention of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Channa avatar. Three Yuga. Bhagavan is called Three Yuga. It means Three Yuga. Fourth Yuga means Channa. Prahlad Maharaj says in some Canto, the Channa, your Three Yuga. If we say Gargamuni, he says, your sun appears in red, white, red, yellow, and black. White, yellow कभी आया? And yellow कभी? Mahaprabhu.
Okay.
So it's Channa avatar. Because the reason for Bhagavan appearance is not to show it's Bhagavan. For different reason. So it's called three. Bhagavan is called, other name of Bhagavan is called Three Yuga. Who comes in three yugas. He comes in four yugas. He appears as Bhagavan as Three Yuga. Fourth Yuga is Channa. Covered incarnation. If you search for Three Yuga in Vedabase, Three Yuga, you will find that. Pradma says Three Yuga. Then Gargamuni's, when it's described Namkaran Samskar, Bhagavan, you'll find yellow color and the beautiful description, commentary is given on that.
That's why I was confused because I think in Bhagavatam it is mentioned that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will come.
It's hidden.
And but then there it will
Yeah, Sango Pangas Krishna Parantusha Krishnam Sango Pangas Pashadam.
Okay.
The verse 11th canto. About the Navayogendras. See that. Krishna Varnam Tusha Akrishnam. His rang is Akrishnam. Not Krishna. He's not Krishna. Krishna Varnam matlab kya? He gives words of Krishna. Tusha Akanti is Akrishnam, not black. Because Sango Pangas the Parshadam. Yajne Sankirtana prior. He'll start Yajna, which Yajna? Sankirtana Yajna. And Yajanti who made it. Only intelligent people will take up to that Sankirtan. Yajna. We talk directly about Mahaprabhu. Jiva Goswami writes the Mangalacharan, the first verse of the Sandarbha is Krishna Tusha Krishna. There's a Mangalacharan verse he writes in Tattva Sandarbha. First verse he writes this. And this beautiful description goes into that. Yeah. Suvarna Hanga Hemango, Pranga Chandana Satatafa.
I'm predicting like that 2 or 3 different.
Maybe serve there.
Small question or maybe just curious to know, the Krishna is the supreme one and it always has come from Krishna. So, is there a mention of like why Krishna has to take avatar in his original form? Like he could have taken any other avatar, but he came like in his original form. Is there any reason like why it is?
Bhagwan comes once in a day of Brahma. Other avatar comes multiple times. That means once in a day of Brahma. So, this imagine one day of Brahma is 8.64 billion years. And of that, he comes for his own Leela. He is not bound by time. He is not bound by time. Sorry, I have to go. He is not dictated by time. He comes to attract people to him. See, if you start for him like Bhagwan like Leela, why does he perform like Narvat Leela, human like pastimes? We can relate to him. You start Bhagwan like saying, "Maine kha liya." He can eat. He can eat his nose. He can live whatever he can do, whatever he wants, anything he wants. But starts doing that, we can relate to him. Now if he says, "Makhan kha raha hai, chori kar raha hai," but bachche bhi karte hain na. Then we will remember our child. We should remember Krishna. When you hear Krishna passing, we should remember our child. When you see your child doing this, we should remember Krishna has the key. So make us relate to Bhagavan and fix our mind on Bhagavan, he comes to perform pastimes. And that is Chirat. Bhagavan says Krishna appeared in this world. Anarpita Charin Chirat. He said, very rarely I come. Once in a day of Brahma. He's VIP logo. Once in a day of Brahma, VIP will come. But when he comes the entire entourage. To show this is what the ultimate reality is. Come join me. Come join me. Golok Vrindavan. The board of sweetness. Aishwarya Agar. Full. Bhagwan forgets his Bhagwan Vrindavan. If someone says we are Krishna Bhagwan, they are out of Vrindavan. Bhagwan, Bhargan. No Bhagavata in Vrindavan. He's Bhagwan always. But that conception of Bhagavad is not there in Vrindavan at all. He can Yogamaya covered so that he can freely play, freely do all those things, everything he can do that. That is the ultimate pinnacle of sweetness, which we aspire for. Vrindavan, where's it now? Jai Krishna. Krishna. Yes, Madhu. Yes. Yes. Yeah, many places. Yeah. This is what is there. This is. Yeah, there are many Puranas. When Bhagavatam is saying, Bhagavatam, if it has 3 yuga, Channa, I didn't mention Bhagavatam. I'm saying. The other Puranas, many other Samhita, many things, I can mention there. Shashi Sutta, somebody else. I can mention. If it's avatar, it should mention Shastra. Mata kaun hai, Pita kaun hai, everything will be there. So Bhagavatam is the essence. Bhagavatam is covered, it's not very prominent. That's why.
And the Kali avatar is that Krishna himself only?
It's Amsha. Avesh avatar. Kalki is not, it's Avesh avatar. Potency of both is mentioned. Yeah. Thanks so much. End the call. Thanks so much. Thank you all, Ramahari too. Thank you, Krishna Balaji too. Shito Bhagavatam. End the call here. Thanks.